Spring starts at the Home Depot, and we are bringing the heat to your backyard this season. Fire up the flavor with our wide variety of grills for under $300, like the Next Grill 4-burner gas grill that's perfect for hosting your spring cookout. Then set the scene and turn your outdoor space into the go-to spot with patio sets for every budget. Bring it this season with grills that deliver flavor and patios that set the vibe from the Home Depot. Start your spring with low prices guaranteed at the Home Depot. Exclusions apply. See homedepot.com/price match for details.
This episode is brought to you by Redfin. You're listening to a podcast, which means you're probably multitasking. Maybe even scrolling home listings on Redfin, saving homes without expecting to get them. But Redfin isn't just built for endless browsing. It's built to help you find and own a home. With agents who close twice as many deals, when you find the one, you've got a real shot at getting it. Get started at redfin.com. Own the dream.
Is there something specific the dogs are trained to do for you?
They don't have to. They don't have to.
I just asked you whether there was something specific. I'll be the judge of the law. I got it, okay?
Yeah.
This is the plaintiff, Lilia Isabel Cruz. She says she was at her friend's apartment complex for a Christmas Eve party, and she went outside with her 2 service dogs so they could relieve themselves. Turns out, the defendant, a brash, mean man, told her dogs weren't allowed on building property, and they got into a heated argument. These dogs are service dogs. They're her medicine, and he can't discriminate against them. She's suing for $5,000 for pain and suffering inflicted by an ignorant man. This is the defendant, August Lenhart. He says he owns the apartment complex where the plaintiff's friend lives, and he can do what he wants because it's private property. When his super approached the plaintiff with her dogs and told her they weren't allowed, she asked him if this was a communist country. Huh? Apparently, the rules of his building have caused the plaintiff to lose sleep and has required her to take more Xanax. And now she wants $5 grand? Come on. He's accused of not liking dogs.
All parties, please raise your right hand.
What you are about to witness is real. The participants are not actors. They are actual litigants with a case pending in civil court. Both parties have agreed to drop their claims and have their cases settled here before Judge Marilyn Milian in our forum, the People's Court.
Be seated and come to order, please. Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Okay, Lilia Isabel Cruz?
Yes.
You are suing August Lenhart?
Yes.
For $5,000 in pain and suffering because, according to you, they did not allow your service dog on their apartment building's property. All right, tell me what's going on.
Okay. Hi, Your Honor. Thank you for having me here. About December 22, my friend Ana Martinez, which is very scared that she might get evicted out of there, she invited me over her house. And I relented it, because I usually don't go out of my comfort zone. Because of my anxieties, I try, stress-free situations. So I went.
When you say that, what do you mean?
Yeah, like any place where I'm going to be stressed out, like a lot of people, or places where, my dogs are not allowed and stuff like that. I keep away from those places like that, because I'm disabled.
Okay. Do you collect disability?
Yes.
Okay. And the nature of the disability is mental or physical?
Mental.
Okay. And
My
it's the
anxiety.
anxiety that you're talking about?
Mm-hmm.
And it's because you get anxious when you're around public places?
Not really. Anything that's going to give me stress, I keep away from it. Because that's what my doctor ordered, you know what I mean? So on this day, she invited me, and I said, okay. On the 24th of December, I got out of my house real early, get my dogs ready. They were dressed in Christmas outfits and blah, blah, blah. And I get there. She called me on my telephone. She said, Lilia, are you on your way? And I said, yeah, I'll be there around 12:30, 12:45, because she wanted me to make some Cuban rice. So I get there, and I take my little dogs, and they are around the tree, and I heard this voice. Hey.
What are they doing around the tree?
They just sniffing. They didn't even get to pee. It was too quick.
Is that why you brought them there, to pee?
I brought them into the tree to pee because I get them out of my car. Then I was going to knock on my friend's window, which I usually knock, and she comes and opens the door upstairs. So I heard this voice, hey. I turned. He said, no dogs here. I said, these are my service dogs. Do you want to see the paper? Don't care. I'll call the cops on you. I said.
Okay, but where was, the voice was coming from a person, and where was the person?
The person in the parking lot.
Is this a gentleman who would, okay,
Yes, Your Honor.
can you come up?
Yep.
Okay. Do you remember encountering her in the parking lot?
Yeah.
Okay, and what happened? You said to her, no dogs?
I just get close to her and I asked no dogs allowed in the building.
No dogs allowed, and you have a policy of no dogs in that building?
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay, and then what happens? What does she say?
And she started screaming and yelling. And they said, you have to change the law in this country. This is like a communist country.
Wait, but
And-
did she tell you they were service dogs?
No.
What did she say?
She just screaming and yelling. She never talked. She was screaming all the time.
Okay.
And she repeated many times, you have to change the law in this country because it's like communist.
Okay. Did she say to you at any point in time that they were service dogs?
She said she have some paper. I said, I don't want to see it, and I walk away.
Okay. She said she had some papers that what?
The dogs are
Are what?
right. The dogs have right to be in there, but
That the dogs have a right to be in there.
Yeah,
and
but
you told, so she was telling you that they were service dogs.
she don't tell her. He was screaming.
Okay, she was yelling. Then what was she yelling though? What was she saying to you?
That?
That they're service dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, she used the word service? Or
Yeah.
did she use some other word?
No, service.
Okay, and then you said, doesn't matter to me, I don't want to see any papers because we have a no dog policy.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So then what do you do?
When he said that, I said, those are my service dogs. Do you want to see the papers, sir? He said, no.
Do
I
you
said,
walk around with papers for
Yeah.
these instances? Okay.
Always.
Can I see them?
I said, this is for Gizmo and this is for El Nino. He said, there's no dogs allowed. I said, sir, I do not live here. I'm a guest. I'm coming to have dinner here. Do you want to see my paper? He said, no, I don't care. I will call the police.
Gizmo, date of birth, dog, something with her is needed for psych therapy due to anxiety. Is there something specific the dogs are trained to do for you?
They don't have to. They don't have to.
I just asked you whether there was
No,
something
not
specific.
in the
I'll be
law.
the judge of the law.
I
got
understand.
it, okay?
Yeah.
But what I'm asking you is there something specific? Because I want to understand what is going on. Is there something specific the dogs are trained to do for you?
Okay. They take, you know, if I cried or whatever, they come to me immediately.
Okay.
You understand me? They know when I'm in need.
But so does every other dog. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
they know what I'm.
It's like the one person who gives me unconditional love in my household is my dog.
Yes.
My children used to run down the steps when I came home because they were happy mommy was home. Yeah, that doesn't happen very much anymore. It's now the dog who runs over and wags its tail. So what you're saying to me is that you need them because they provide comfort and calm you.
Yes,
Okay.
they do.
All right. Now let me hear from you.
Okay, well, Your Honor, we have a policy for the last 30 years at that property that we don't allow
Can I
dogs.
just ask you a question? Like, you're not stressed out at the people's court here with me in a court situation? Because you're handling it like a champ.
No, I
You know,
am.
a lot of times I see people, they're
Oh, yeah, I
parked,
am.
have to bring the
My
water,
hands are
have to
cold.
slow down for a few minutes. You're doing great.
No, my hands are cold. My mouth is dry.
All right.
You know.
Go ahead.
Your Honor, like
Thank
I said,
you.
we had this policy since I bought the property, and that's more than 30 years ago. And I understand if she needs the dogs for comfort, we would make an exception. And once she was told that we don't allow dogs, and she got sort of excited and whatnot, my super walked away. We have dealt with dogs before. We've had people living at the property that needed seeing eye dogs and whatnot. And we make an allowance for that. We did not mean to upset her. We just informed her of the house rules. And we are mind readers, and we can't know that she needs the dog for comfort.
But he says that she did mention that she has papers to show him that it was a service animal, and that he said, I don't care, I don't want to see them.
But at this point, he walked away.
Right, but, I mean, so what are you saying? That saying, I don't care, I don't want to see them, they're not allowed, is not rejecting her from being there?
Somewhat, yes.
That's a stretch.
But, okay.
I don't know.
I concede
What were
that.
the dogs doing when you walked up to her?
Just walking around the street. I don't know if they do something in there, but just walking around there.
Okay.
They just talking to her, so.
What'd you end up doing?
I ended up going downstairs, knocking on her window. She came upstairs, and I said, Anita, I gotta go. And I was already crying, and I said, I gotta go. I gotta go. I have to take my pill. This guy have told me that he's gonna call the cops on me, and I don't want it. The same thing happened to me.
Did you tell her you were gonna call the cops on her?
I didn't say nothing about it.
You didn't say nothing about cops?
No.
Okay, go on.
She's the one who say, you can call the cops.
She said what?
Yes, he told me, you can call the cops, but I don't say nothing. I just keep walking.
Okay. All right, so go on.
I did also call the cops that day. They told me that was not a cop matter.
Okay, so how is it you come up to $5,000 over having, let's assume for the sake of argument that they violated something. Why would your damages amount to the statutory maximum?
More than the money, I want to teach them a lesson. They don't know the law.
So then you'll be satisfied if they say that from now on?
Definitely.
Okay.
Because I've been there before with my dogs.
Okay.
And
have you ever been told that you couldn't be there before?
Never, because I never seen him.
Okay.
They need to know the law, that they cannot discriminate, especially when somebody says, there's my service dogs. People cannot be discriminated like that. This is not communism. This is, people have laws in this country. And I know
we
that
say that a lot, we're Cuban.
It is true.
She knows I'm Cuban. That's why she threw in I was making Cuban rice. You know? This is all we say all day long. My parents are like, esto es comunista. Anytime anybody gives a regulation to that, esto es comunista. Listen, I'm going to take a recess. I kind of want to know, I think we're almost done here, but I kind of want to know the answers to a few quandaries, and I'm hoping that I'll be able to determine them before I have to send you folks on your way.
All rise.
Court's in recess.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Harvey 11 here. So, does this sound legit that she says she needs a service dog for comfort in case she cries?
No, I think she should get something else, and I don't want to be eating next to a dog while I'm eating dinner.
But sometimes it's legitimate where they do need these dogs. Does this sound legitimate?
No, it does not. She's not blind. Blind people need service dogs.
But she's saying she's emotional and she needs the help when she's emotional.
Yeah, get a boyfriend instead then.
Okay, that's harsh, going inside the courtroom.
Let me, you know, I have to make the following observation. Can you believe how well behaved those two animals are? Mm-hmm. That they're just sitting in that chair that whole time?
Yeah, maybe she'll lend us the dog for a while.
I know. Seriously, look at it. Look at that dog. Look at those dogs. Oh, the minute I say that now, she's good. You're making her look bad. All right, let me ask you a question, because it sounds to me like both sides here really just want one thing and have no problem with resolving the case, and maybe I'm wrong. What you really want, besides being right, okay, what you really want is to be able to visit your friend, correct?
Yes.
That's what you want. Mm-hmm. Because this person's a close friend.
Exactly.
And you want to be able to go to that home without being told, no, you can't go. And you seem to have, in your testimony, mentioned that you, or made it sound like I didn't have a full appreciation of the issue. And we have no problem making an accommodation, and we will allow her to come with the dogs onto the property, right?
Exactly, Your Honor.
So why don't we just resolve this case and settle it?
Resolved.
Done. All right, now let's talk about something. Because now that it's resolved and done, I want to pontificate. There are two laws that come into play as an apartment building. One is the Fair Housing Act, and the other is the ADA. The Fair Housing Act, in the Federal Fair Housing Act and Connecticut's own, prevents you from discriminating against people with a handicap. Her argument is, you're discriminating against me because I have a handicap. I get nervous. I have anxiety. You could have a very legitimate argument that, no, I'm not. You're welcome to come. I'm not discriminating against you. I just don't think that's a service animal. You say, I ask you specifically, what are those animals trained to do for you? And your answer is, they don't have to do anything. They calm me and give me emotional support. Yep. So that you are clear, you better come up with something better than that. Because you are wrong when you say that that's all they have to do. I don't know who you're talking to on the end of a telephone. I'm just going to refer you to the ADA's website. And I'm going to read to you this following section of the ADA's website. Because everyone can say that, and then everybody can bring their dogs, if that's the case. This is from the 2010 Revised Requirements for Service Animals, okay? Where it says, the work or task a dog has been trained to provide must be directly related to the person's disability. Dogs whose sole function is to provide comfort or emotional support do not qualify as a service dog. I specifically asked you that because I had read this. So what do the dogs do? And then you told me they don't have to do anything. I said, so they just provide comfort and support? And you said yes. I don't think that's going to qualify as. I mean, that's nice that you get a tax exemption, your doctor gives you a note, you get to do everything else. But I don't think that you can pound your chest and march on and just teach the whole world a lesson about the laws, because I'm not sure you're on good footing after these revisions. So you need to take a look at that before you take another mantle up. But for my purposes, I don't have to get to the end of this because both of you have agreed that you don't have a problem with it. And I got to tell you, they really are well-behaved dogs. And now the super, who was doing his job, okay, now understands that, the owner has no problem with it. So everybody's happy.
Yes,
I want to hold on to that feeling. Okay, so case dismissed. Yes, sir.
I just wanted to say one thing. At her very opening, she said her friend who lives at the property is afraid of being evicted over this issue.
Okay.
I can assure her it ain't going to happen.
At least not over this issue.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir. It's a pleasure to meet you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Hello, here comes the plaintiff. Come on in here looking very, very happy and everything.
How are you?
You're very happy. You just lost your case.
It doesn't matter. I wanted to teach them that they cannot do that, and they did learn it. That's what. That it was a point of, it's the principle of the matter.
Well, why'd you sue for $5,000 then?
Because that way it will make it juicy, and you know how it is.
And so if you get anxious and all that stuff, why'd you put yourself through this? You had to go through this?
I know what you're talking about, but I do get, cold and, dry mouth and stuff like that. I do get a lot of anxieties.
Okay. All right, take it easy.
Come on.
Just relax and head right down this way. Okay, guys. There you go. Okay. Cute dogs. All right, come on in here. Step right over here next to me.
Yes.
You satisfied how this comes out?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. What do you think she was doing? Do you think she was trying to take advantage of you in any way?
Well, she was looking for $5,000.
No, she said she was just trying to...
I heard that.
What?
She was looking for $5,000.
And your reaction to that is?
Better luck next time.
Harvey?
If you violate the Disabilities Act by taking a dog in that you shouldn't be taking in, you can open yourself up to punitive damages. But in this case, the plaintiff didn't even qualify for service dog. Anyway, that will do it for this case. Litigants for the next case on the way into the courtroom right now.
Don't chew on that, Max.
Cooper loves that chew, too.
Oh, now he's into Cooper's food. Wow, he is loving it. What do you feed Cooper?
Blue Buffalo Life Protection Formula. He never leaves a crumb. I love it because it's made with high-quality protein, nutrient-rich fruits and veggies, and wholesome whole grains.
Looks like we're switching to Blue.
Blue Buffalo foods are made with the superior ingredients your dog needs to thrive. Can your dog food say that? Visit feedbluefood.com to learn more.
Not sure how to tackle your taxes? Are you sweating the small print? You may be experiencing FOMO, the fear of messing up. The answer? Using TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. They help you get your biggest refund, and then we help you do more with it. With a personalized plan designed to help you hit your money goals. It's time to take your taxes to the max. Start filing today in the Credit Karma app.
This is the plaintiff, Norberto Velez. He says the defendant's a friend of a friend who he gave a series of loans to, and he's now having a heck of a time getting the defendant to pay him back. In fact, the guy's claiming he's harassing him when all he's doing is asking for something which is rightfully his, some people. He's suing for $408.50, the amount he's owed. This is the defendant, Mark Quintana. He says the plaintiff's one big liar whose lies keep getting bigger and bigger. The guy's making everything up in an attempt to extort him for money he does not owe. It's not right what he's doing, and he believes the judge will see right through it and set him straight once and for all. He's accused of being a lousy loanee.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket, the plaintiff gave the defendant a series of loans and got stiffed. But the defendant says this is pure extortion. It's the case of a loan again, naturally.
Thank you, Douglas. Norberto Velez, you are suing Mark Quintana, your former friend, for $408.50 that you say he owes you in various loans that you made to him throughout your friendship that he apparently refuses to repay according to you. Tell me what's going on.
Okay, I feel sorry for him because he could try to get a job, and and I lent him the money to get his
How did you two know each other?
Through my cousin friend.
He's your cousin's friend?
Yeah. No, my niece's cousin.
Your niece's cousin's friend knew him.
Right.
So you loaned him money.
I lent him money.
Okay, I need some money. Because if that's all it takes is your niece's cousin's friend, and then you loan him, I don't understand. Were you friends with him or weren't you?
I was friends for a long time.
What's a long time?
Maybe about a year at least.
That's not a long time. All right, so you've known a guy a year. All right, and then you find out he needs money. How?
Because he needed a job, and he needs to secure your licenses in Florida.
He needs what?
Secure your license.
In order to get the job he wanted.
Get a job.
So did he come to you and ask you for the money?
He said if I front the money, that he'll pay me back when he gets the job.
Okay.
And somehow he didn't get hired because my boss didn't hire him because
he was going to get a job with where you work?
Yes.
Okay. So you loaned him how much that time?
The license is $150.
Okay. And did he pay you back for that?
No.
Okay. And then what happens?
And then he did not get hired because he told my boss that he needs the job to pay child support, and that was a big turnoff.
Because he was back owed child support?
Yeah, back owed child support.
Okay, things not to say in an interview, okay?
So my boss was going to hire him.
I'm a deadbeat dad, so I really need this job, okay?
And
how far back were you in the child support? How far behind?
I'm not actually on child support.
So why did you mention child support?
I said it because I was about to be put on it, and it actually hasn't gone through yet. I guess
Are you paying child support?
I am giving money to my baby mama.
Are you paying child support?
No.
According to him, you mentioned that in the interview. Did that happen?
No, it didn't. They told me that they couldn't hire me because I didn't have my driver's license.
Driver's license?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Why don't you have a driver's license?
I have a bad driving record. It's
you
suspended.
had one and we took it away from you?
Yes, ma'am.
For what?
For a number of things, but I have 18 points less than 3 months, so that's the main reason.
How do you get 18? You know how hard you have to work to get 18 points in less than 3 months in the state? You're from Florida.
Yes,
18 points in less than 3 months in the state of Florida?
Yep.
That's hard.
Yep.
Yeah, you had, and you probably ignored the summons, didn't come to court, didn't pay the ticket, got a suspended license, didn't do what you had to do to get the license back, blah, 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 right?
Somewhat.
It sounds familiar? Yeah, I have seen this dog has bitten me 500 times. I've seen the same situation over and over, and you're just too, slack to straighten out your situation, which then affects your job prospects, affects your ability to get to and from work. What are your plans? Are you working now?
Yes, ma'am.
What are you doing?
I currently work for a pool company. It's owned by my family.
Do you drive?
I don't. I get picked up for work.
Wow. All right. So they don't give him the job, and then he doesn't pay you back that money, but then you continue to loan him a bunch of other money?
Yes. Because he said you'll promise me when he's working with his...
I know, but that promise didn't work the last time, so why did you fall for it this time?
Because he said he made his word that you'll pay me the money.
I know, but he said that the last time, and that didn't work, so why are you trusting him?
Because I'm a very trusting person.
Really? Is that
yes.
what it is?
I want to survive on 9/11. I trust people.
You what?
I want to survive on 9/11.
Explain that to me.
I have a good heart.
No, I want to know where you were.
I work with the Port Authority. I was there, so I...
What were you doing for them?
Security.
You were a security guard at the World Trade Center when it happened?
Yes.
Wow. How did you get out?
I was outside getting breakfast for the team members.
Thank God. Did anybody was everybody who worked with you able to get out?
No. Half them are deceased.
Wow.
So I'm a very good person. I believe in pay it forward. And I was hoping that he paid me
But you got to
back.
pick who you pay it forward to, right?
Yeah.
Okay. If you feel the milk of human kindness, go to a soup kitchen. All right. Or a homeless shelter and volunteer your time there. But if it's someone who, according to your descriptions, just takes. Tell me when you loaned him $105 for child support.
He needed some cash money. I don't know what he used it for, but he's saying his baby mama needs cash.
When did you loan him that?
On the 5th.
Of what?
June.
So now we're up to $350.
Correct.
And then the rest of what you're suing for is $20 gas, $10 beer, cigarettes.
All right. He had no driver license, and he wanted to have sex with girls. So I took him to this place, and I'm waiting outside more than 2 hours.
A bordello?
He went to a project or like a ghetto area. So he had no driver license, so I had to take his friend's car to drive.
To drive him to a prostitute?
Some girl having sex. So
some girlfriend?
No, it's not, the girl he didn't even know. He just went online and picked up.
Okay.
And he paid He said, pay the $20 for the gas and buy beer and a cigarette. I'll pay you back. I said, okay.
Was that the fishing trip?
No, fishing trip is something else.
Fishing trip?
No, that's something else.
So would you loan money to some dude who is behind on child support?
No, because he's a loser.
He may be a loser, but sometimes maybe it's legit why they fall behind. Would you ever take the chance?
Yeah, sure.
You would?
If he's a good friend of mine, yeah.
If he's behind on child support?
Sure.
Does he need to have a really good reason on why?
Life happens.
Wow, that is a forgiving woman who I would like to borrow money from. What do you think?
No, I don't give him money.
You don't give him money. You're a smart woman going inside the courtroom.
The fishing trip, he said he was depressed, and he said if I loan him the $60, he promised me he'll pay.
Dude, are you socializing with him during all this time? Are you going out as buddies? Are you?
No, I stopped.
So why do you keep loaning him money?
Oh, I stopped. After he harassed me, he say, "Oh, he has no money. I'm not lending no more money to nobody." And I learned a lesson.
What's going on? Let me hear your version.
All right. Well, it started with my friend, which was cousins with his niece, and we met. We talked. He told me he was a survivor of 9/11, and we just got close. We started talking. I told him I have a part-time job right now. Bills aren't cutting it. He told me that he had a job for me, or that he probably could give me a job. So he goes to his job, talks to his job. They said, we'll hire you. And I was like, okay. And I go to the interview. After the interview, they told me that I don't have my license, that they can't hire me. Boom. And then they said, why don't you try again? Somebody might lose their job, or they're going out of town or something, that you could take their spot. So I went back for the second interview. They told me no, that there's no openings. And he promised me a job last time I remembered, and that's why I didn't have money to pay him back.
It's not his job to get you a job.
You're right,
it's
but
it's his generosity to get you an opportunity.
The way he went about it, he told me that he had the job for me. It was in the bag. But
yeah, well, if you weren't such a screw up and you hadn't lost your driver's license, then maybe you could have gotten it. If you didn't, it's kind of your own thing. It's not his fault.
You're right.
He's trying to be nice to you.
He was, and I agree.
Put your hand down. I'm working. Go ahead.
He was a very nice person. I'm not gonna lie, and I feel like I do owe him money, and just not all the amount that he's claiming.
Okay. So you're grateful for the things he did for you?
I am grateful.
You're grateful? Because I got to tell you, when I read your text, it doesn't look like you're grateful.
Yeah, because when you text me from 3 different numbers and you call me about 100 times, then that's when I don't act like that, I guess.
Let's see. This is where you tell him to do certain things to your body parts.
You could read them like from the get, and you would understand why I said it that way.
Then, when he tells you to stop using bad language, you then spell out, letter by letter, the profanity. You tell him he's lying about how much it is. You call him a fat blank. And you tell him once again, you seem to be obsessed with having him do certain things to a certain body part of yours.
I was angry.
I can't wait to laugh in your blanking face.
Yeah.
More profanity. You don't sound grateful. You sound kind of like a jerk.
Well, it's funny how when we would discuss how much I owed him, he would still harass me, texting me from different numbers, calling me saying that this is his new number, texting me hundreds of times. If you look on there, there's a...
What do you owe him?
I feel like I owe him...
You feel like?
I gave him $100 cash, so I feel like I only owe him maybe $150 to complete.
But you're not sure. You feel like you owe him.
Technically, like sense-wise, yeah, I'm telling you just how much I think.
Right, but why don't you how come you're not keeping track of what you owe him?
Because I never did. I just only remember what I borrowed, and
so
that was
who
it.
should I believe? The guy who has every little penny written down, or the guy who says, whose defense is, I think this,
I guess the guy who has every penny.
Okay, I want you to listen to me because I want to tell you something, Mr. Reyes, okay? I appreciate the fact that you went through a life-changing experience and that you want to do good. But you still have to protect yourself.
Yes, I understand.
Okay? And you still have to make sure that your generosity is spent in the right place.
Yes, ma'am.
Because it doesn't look like it was spent in the right place in
Correct.
this one. All right? Given the choice between believing your story or yours, here's a surprise. I believe yours. And I'm finding in favor of the plaintiff in this case in the amount of $408.50. That's my verdict.
see what the defendant has to say here after the plaintiff gets every cent he's sued for here. What's your reaction to that?
No reaction.
Don't you think he's been through enough after what he described and what he told you went through without having to put him through this much more?
I guess so.
Right?
Yeah.
All right, right this way, okay? Okay. All right, so come on out here, step on in here. You got everything you sued for. What's going through your mind now?
I'm very happy. I learned my lesson, and I'm gonna never trust people again, lending people money. And I hope everybody learns about this.
Well, choose more carefully, at least.
No, if you do that, you still lose friendships.
Okay.
So don't lend money.
What about the pay it forward?
I saw the movie Pay It Forward. I thought it worked, and it didn't work.
All right, well, good luck with everything.
Thank you.
All right, Harvey?
Okay, you know what? When you loan or borrow money from somebody, both sides need to keep a ledger where you say, this is what I loaned and this is what I paid back in increments. If you don't have that ledger and you can't make it up after the fact, I'm telling you, it makes the difference between winning and losing. That will do it for this case. Litigants for the next case on the way into the courtroom right now.
Zootopia 2 has come home to Disney+.
Let's go!
Get ready for a new case.
We're the greatest partners of all time!
New friends.
Gary the Snake. And your last name? The Snake.
Dream Team. New habitats.
Zootopia has a secret reptile population.
You can watch the record-breaking phenomenon at home. Zootopia 2, now available on Disney+, rated PG. And right now you can get Disney+ and Hulu for just $4.99 a month for 3 months with a special limited time offer. Ends March 24th. After 3 months, plan auto-renews at $12.99 a month. Terms apply.
This is the plaintiff, Kautuk Prasad. He says he rented a commercial space from the defendant for 20 years. And after all that time, he now has to drag him here to court to get his security back. The defendant has no excuse for not giving him back his money. He's not about to let the guy get away with stealing from him. So he's suing the louse for the $3,000 he's owed. This is the defendant, Edward Catalinas. He says he had to use every penny of the plaintiff's security to repair the damages the guy caused to his space. All in all, the plaintiff paid his rent on time and was a good tenant, but he doesn't owe him anything because the repairs he had to make drained all of his security deposit, so they're even. He's accused of being insecure.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket, the plaintiff rented commercial space from the defendant for 2 decades, can't get his security back. But the defendant says the plaintiff was like a wrecking ball. He did so much damage. It's the case of ball and change.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Okay, electrical control systems are presented here by Mr. Prasad. You're the owner?
Yes.
We're the owner, I guess?
Yes.
Is this no longer in business? You are suing Edward Catalinas?
Catalinas, ma'am.
Catalinas, who your former landlord of 20 years, for $3,000, a statutory maximum that you say you are out because he won't return your $1,500 security deposit, and you want interest on it plus the value of all the things that you
left behind.
Left behind. Okay, what happened?
As it stated before, I was a good tenant, paying my rent on time every month for 20 years. Yes,
20 years you were there?
20 years.
Okay, what kind of business did you run?
A computer repair, mostly IT.
Okay.
The store was just accommodating, doing repairs for the locals.
Okay.
As I said, I was there for 20 years, paying almost $375,000 during that period of time for rent and property tax adjustment.
Okay, so go on. And then it was time to go. And why did you break down your business?
Well, no, I mean...
No, I mean, you were moving, and why?
I mean, our lease ends.
Okay. So now you inform him in January that when the lease is over in May, it's over for real. And
Correct.
that you don't no longer need the space.
Correct.
And everything is fine until it's not. When was the first inkling you had that you were going to have a problem?
Well, 1 month passed, so I contacted him, and he says, well, you know, he didn't forget me, he will take care of it. Now,
okay,
1 month passed.
Just a moment. One month passed after you moved out.
Correct.
And then he said, I didn't forget you, let me get around to figuring it out. Okay.
Correct. Then I received an email saying that I have no security deposit for you. It's because he had spent X amount of dollars, which is more than what the worth of the the security deposit.
Okay, now the security deposit was $1,500.
Correct.
All right. So once you got that response from him, what did you do?
Oh, I was angry.
Right. Because you felt that you'd left the place in good condition.
Correct.
And you shouldn't have to fund his making it cuter and spiffier for the next guy.
Correct.
All right. And so therefore you were suing for the following. The
Correct.
$1,500 security deposit.
Correct.
Compound interest of almost the same amount
Correct.
during those years. Where did you get the idea you could sue for interest on a business lease?
From my attorney.
Really?
Yes.
That's inaccurate. Okay, time for a new attorney. All right, Mr. Catalinus, what's going on? He's a good tenant, paid on time,
he was a
20
great tenant.
years,
You know,
a 20-year relationship.
Yeah.
Who's that nice lady?
This is my better half.
Your better half. This does not bode well for you. How long have you been with him?
36 years.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, you stood a better test of time then. Okay.
Mr. Prasad was absolutely correct. He was a great tenant.
I know. So over $1,500, you have this problem?
Well, we probably could have eliminated it. In one of my emails, I said, let's sit down and talk about it. And I'll go through step by step so we could eliminate this.
How are you planning to eliminate this if they...
Well, as far as the security interest, on a commercial lease, you don't have to give interest on a security deposit. And I looked up the statute, and it said only on commercial. I would have went step by step through that, explaining the sign.
Only on residential, you have.
Yes, excuse me. Prior to his leaving, sometime in early April, his lease expired at the end of May. I called Mr. Prasad, told him I wanted to do a walkthrough with him so we could take a look at everything and make sure everything was in accordance to the surrender issues in his lease. I went in there with a contractor who had done a lot of work for me, some on that particular building, and we went through with Mr. Prasad, and we started upstairs, and there were 2 panels of sheetrock missing. Mr. Prasad said he did that. He removed the panels to get more heat and cooling upstairs.
So you had to pay somebody $275 to replace the sheetrock panels?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
okay,
Your Honor.
and I see the receipt for that.
Yes.
All right, what else was wrong?
Apparently, Mr. Prasad had a client or a company he worked for give him some lighting, which he put some of it in the store. There were two nice fixtures he did put in the front room.
Elegant fixtures.
Elegant, okay.
But in the back room, he had a hodgepodge of ceiling lights. One, which was made for a drop ceiling, was sticking down from the ceiling, exposed wires, 2 other light fixtures with round circular fluorescent lights, one held up by a piece of wire, the bulb itself.
Do you have pictures of any of this?
No, because I told him I was going to have to take him out or he had to do it.
Yeah, but you should be taking pictures of stuff like this.
I totally agree, Your Honor.
Okay.
I should have. But anyway,
why was that the case? You needed more lighting in there?
Yes.
Okay. But you know, you understand that one thing is wear and tear, and he's not talking about wear and tear. What he's talking about are changes that you made that you have, according to your lease, a responsibility to bring them back to the way it was when you got it. So why didn't you just bring back the recessed lighting the way it was when you got it?
Because those fixtures are not made anymore.
But why didn't you just save the ones that you took down so that you could prevent the state came?
The fixtures that were there when we moved in there were already 20 years old.
Okay.
So
I know, but they make other recessed lighting, and you could have put other recessed lighting. What you had were things hanging down, and according to him, with wires hanging down.
There is no things hanging down. The building was never wired to code. There were never mounting boxes.
Do you have any evidence that the building wasn't wired to code when you received it?
No, but I can show you one of the light fixtures that were there.
That's not. How is a picture of a light fixture going to tell me that a building is not wired to code? Because that's one of your complaints too, correct? That the lighting that he did had to be corrected because it wasn't according to the specifications of the zoning laws.
Yes, Your
Explain that, please.
The electrician, even on his receipt, said he had to remove and rewire and install new lights. And instead of the 5 original ones that were there, we worked out it could only be 3 with his calculations he used for lighting. And the light, you know, from what I recollect, he got all these fixtures that he had from.
I paid for those fixtures. I didn't get it from anywhere.
Okay, but you don't have a right to charge him for the fixtures because that's not what your lease says. The fixtures belong to him. And if he has to do something in order to get the place to code because of the way that they were done, then that is on your bill. Now, explain to me what happened with the smoke alarm rewiring. Because the smoke alarm you put in, right?
Correct.
It didn't have a smoke alarm beforehand.
Correct.
All right, so what happened with the smoke alarm?
Okay, so the plaintiff wires the smoke alarm to the building, so tightens it into the building. Can the plaintiff remove the smoke alarm when the plaintiff leaves? What do you think?
I would say if it affects safety of the rest of the tenants in the building, then no. But if it doesn't,
Well, it clearly does. That's what a smoke alarm is for.
but if it's in their own apartment,
Well, no, it's a commercial space. So I mean, at a point, does it become a fixture in the building, part of the building?
I would think so. Yes.
So tough luck. I mean, you put it in and you can use it for as long as you're there, but when you leave, you can't remove it.
Right.
That seems reasonable to me. Going inside the courtroom.
There was no smoke alarm in the building. There were smoke detectors in the building, but at some later date, the town required a central monitoring system with a dial-up in case of a fire. And he did put that in along with a burglar alarm. But after the new tenant moved in, she went to hook up the monitoring system with a company, and they came in and said it has to be replaced because it was not functioning, wires were cut, pieces were missing.
But so then why would you be entitled to keep anything more than what it takes to remove it and put one for your new tenant or tell your tenant to put her own?
Well, because I looked at it as an addition to the building that he had to leave when he left. Wires were cut, pieces were missing, and it shorted out the panel, and it had to be replaced.
You have a surrender clause, which is typical in a lease that says that you'll surrender the premises together with any alterations, additions, and improvements, including all plumbing fixtures and other similar installations which may have been made, except movable furniture, movable trade fixtures, carpeting, cabinetry, lighting fixtures purchased at the sole expense of the tenant. All right. I kind of agree with you. Once you make the alarm part of the place, it's part of the place, and it needs to be in working order. All right. Based on what I have heard, I find that well over the $1,500 security deposit has been taken up with bringing the place back up to code, and this commercial lease doesn't require compound interest on the security deposit. Therefore, my verdict in this case is for the defendant.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, so the plaintiff comes out with nothing. Come on in here. What's your feeling when that gavel came down?
I think justice is not served. I don't understand why should I have to pay for an alarm system which I own and have to pay to repair it, even though I left.
She explained it became part of the building and needed to be maintained properly. Okay. Why did you sit down with him and allow him to go through this stuff with you piece by piece by piece and work this whole thing out before it got this far?
We tried that, and he had no interest into it.
And after 20 years, do you think he's
You're right. After 20 years, it didn't work.
All right, head right down this way. Okay. You don't have to answer that. All right, go right down there. How come after 20 years the thing degenerates like this?
Well, you know, like you said, if he was willing to sit down and go over piece by piece, you negotiate things out, you know, and if he would have read the lease in the beginning, none of this would ever happen.
How come you couldn't get him to sit down and go over it with you? How come?
I guess he didn't have the time.
Oh.
I have no
Harvey?
idea.
So what's a fixture and what's not a fixture? In most states, it comes down to intent. Was it the intent of both parties to make that so when the tenant leaves, it stays behind? And a lot has to do with what's in here.